Okay, let's look at one more example for today, and that is doing conversions between hexadecimal and decimal. So I'm going to consider the number BCD in base 16. Of course, we understand that hexadecimal, base 16, can have numbers that go 0 through 9, but then they also go A, B, C, D, and E, and F. In this case, we've got BCD, which is a valid hexadecimal number. So I'm going to go ahead and convert each of those 3 hex digits into 4 binary bits. So there'll be a total of 12 bits. So BCD in base 16 is equal to, and then I'm going to convert the B, 1011. That's a hexadecimal B. And then I have a 1100. That's a hexadecimal C. And then I have a 1101. That's the hexadecimal D. So we were asked to convert this to decimal by first converting to binary. Okay, we've converted to binary. Now let's write that number a little bit bigger. So I'm going to have 1 0 1 1 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 1. Then I'm going to put the weights for each of these bits up here. And so here's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, 12, 10, 24, and 20, 48. So if I want to convert that from binary into decimal, then I have to figure out which bits have a 1 and add all of those weights together. So I have 2048 plus, skipping the 1024 because it's a 0, 512 plus 256 plus 128 plus 64 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1. And when I add all of those together, I get 3021 in base 10. Hopefully you get the same thing. We can also perform that same calculation by converting directly from hexadecimal to decimal. We'll find that that's a little bit less work. We're going to have B, C, and D. And just as in binary, there's going to be a weight assigned to each of these digits. So this will be 16 to the 0 power, which is just 1, 16 to the first power, and then we have 16 to the second power. Now, I should also mention that in our human language, in decimal language, B is the same thing as the number 11, C is the same thing as the number 12, and D is the same thing as the number 13. So when I'm doing this conversion, I end up with 11 times 16 squared plus 12 times 16 plus 13. Well, 13 times 1, I'll say. And when you multiply all of those together and then add them up, you end up with 3021 in base 10. So I'm feeling real good about that. We got the same result 2 different ways. Let's see if we can go backwards now from the 3021 back to the BCD. This is the trickiest one of them. But in this case, we're going to know that we need to convert a number 3021. 3021 is going to be greater than 2048, but less than 4096. And this, this would correspond to 12 bits, or 3 hex digits. Now, of course, we know that it's 3 hex digits. We know that it's BCD, but we wouldn't have known that beforehand otherwise, so I'm not allowing us to cheat. So I start out with 3021, and I'm going to have 3 spaces here because I'm creating 3 hex digits. And the first one is going to have a weight of 16 squared, which is 256. The second one is 16 to the first power, which is just 16, and then 16 to the 0 power, which is just 1. So the question is, will 256 go into 3021? Well, certainly the answer is yes. So I have 3021 divided by 256. And I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the answer here. Without showing you the full long division, it ends up being 11 with a remainder of 205. So 11 goes in this space with a remainder of 205. Then we ask ourselves, will 16 go into that remainder of 205? And the answer is yes. So I have 205 divided by 16, and that will give me a 12 with a remainder of 13. So the 12 goes here with a remainder of 13, and then you ask yourself, will 1 go into 13? Yes. How many times? It'll go 13 times. And if you notice here, 11 corresponds to B, 12 corresponds to C, and 13 corresponds to D. So we find that we have in fact verified that 3021 in base 10 is equal to BCD in hexadecimal. So we've kind of done that conversion 3 different times, 2 of them going from hex to decimal, and then the last one going from hexadecimal back to decimal, or decimal back to hexadecimal. Hopefully being able to see that 3 different ways both increases your expertise with doing this, but also helps you to feel more confident about doing it in the future.